Marlee and Chris Gaskell, welcome to the center of the universe, and Virginia is for sports.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, Marlee, I don't know if your dad told you, I actually saw you play. I don't know, it's been 3 weeks maybe. You pitched at Hanover, and I know that was a tough game. Both teams are really, really good. I couldn't believe how much talent was on that field. Really competitive game. And I have to say from the start, your changeup, and I think you've got another off-speed pitch, are ridiculous. They are so good.
Thank you.
I mean, well, let's back up. Why softball?
What'd you say?
Why softball for you? Why did you end up picking softball to be something you're passionate about?
Well, I mean, I've always played like since I was little. I started at T-ball like when I was like 5 or 6, and ever since then I played softball and basketball, and I just like have always liked playing softball.
What is it about softball that you like so much?
I just love like competing against especially for me for pitching, like I love competing against batters like that. And yeah.
Yeah, I had my old high school baseball coach tell me that baseball and softball are unique team sports in that there's so much individual action for the pitcher and for the hitter. And of course there are assists and teamwork matters, but there are a lot of individual aspects to the game of softball for sure. And it sounds like you enjoy the one-on-one competition within softball too.
Yeah, I like that, especially with pitching. But I also like the team aspect part of it, like when my defense makes a good play and stuff, like that's always pretty hype.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Do you still play basketball?
I played until my freshman year of high school, and then ever since then, it's just like kind of hard to manage, like having to do working out in off season with basketball and softball, because like I have to do specific stuff for softball. So.
All right, so you had an incredible year last year, and you're off to a really good start this season. Walk me through the end of your sophomore softball season until today. How much softball have you been playing, and how much working out and all of that?
I've done a lot, because like September 1st that's like the big recruiting time. So I played all throughout summer of last year until about August, right? It was our last tournament. And then I had like a week off, and then I got right back into it. And we travel again in the fall. So I had 5 fall tournaments. And like while I'm doing that, I'm still like going to pitching lessons and like working out and everything. And I work out with my trainer at Chris, his name's Chris, at Onyx Elite. And that's kind of mostly where I was during the winter. And then now I'm just working out at home at like before or after practice.
How many states have you been to play softball?
Oh gosh. I'd say, well, we usually have like tournaments in the same places. So in the summer, I go to Georgia, Colorado, Florida, California, Alabama, right?
Alabama, and then Kansas. They were in Kansas or Missouri last year.
That's a lot of travel.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is.
And these tournaments, are they actual tournaments, or like I've heard this concept of showcase? Is it more showcasey, or is it more actual games?
Well, summer softball is more like tournament style, like winning championships, stuff like that. And then fall is more of like a showcase type season. So summer is my favorite just because I like tournament style, but fall is just like you kind of play a certain amount of games and just like college coaches will come watch.
Yeah, fall. Both of them are big for recruiting, but fall is kind of where the coaches will start trying to market their players that are coming up on the recruiting years. So she had her summer this past summer was busier than the last. Typically when she's done at the end of July, we give her a month off or so before she starts throwing again, give her arm a break before fall ball starts. but she had to go right into camps because it was her year for recruiting. September 1 of last year was her year, be able to talk to coaches. So we felt like hitting a couple camps right before that would be a good idea.
Yeah, look, the way, Marlee, you throw a softball, I have no concept how to throw an accurate ball like that, and getting any speed on it or having a different pitches and then locating it seems ridiculous to me. Now, I didn't grow up playing fast pitch softball. Do pitchers typically have shoulder or elbow issues from pitching?
I've really had like bad injuries, like anywhere as near as bad as like baseball injuries. Like for baseball, they only have like a certain amount of pitches they can throw for high school, but for softball, we can throw like game after game after game. Like we have 3 games next week, and I probably will throw every game.
You're gonna start all 3?
I'm pretty sure.
And you don't have any shoulder fatigue or any arm fatigue from that?
I mean, I'll get like, it'll be tired and I'll get a little bit sore, but it's not like pain, like nagging pain. It's just like overuse, or not overuse, but like using it so much that it gets a little sore.
And that was one of the reasons, Paul, that she decided to go play for the Birmingham Thunderbolts. They had 3 other absolute star pitchers. So we knew we could go there. And, tournaments are different. Like when she was younger, she'd pitch 2 or 3 games a day when you're younger. Now, they're hour time limits typically, or, they're pretty fast, but still, it's a lot of pitching. So we knew to try to take care of her arm, we needed to get her somewhere. And she wanted to compete at a higher level than what we were doing. So we got to that place, and having 4 girls that could go to any other team and start. I mean, it was awesome. And, a lot of people would get confused and say, well, weren't there a lot of issues with the other parents? They absolutely loved each other. The pitchers did. And we loved the parents. It was an awesome experience, but to the point that helps save the arm too. She wasn't pitching every game.
Yeah, Chris, so you were recruited to play D1 football, and you remember that process, even though it might have been a couple years ago. How different was recruiting for D1 athletics back then compared to what Marlee's gone through the last year or so?
It's a lot different. When I was, obviously a couple years is probably about right. When I was being recruited, we as players, I guess I was spoiled. Coach Dennis Kozlowski was the head coach of Bethel when I was there. He worked tirelessly to get us recruited. He would VHS. I remember going to his office and seeing him taking tapes out and recording tapes and mailing them out. I mean, he did everything. I mean, there was no huddle that these guys do their recruiting videos on. I had a buddy of mine that coached in the ACC for a little bit, and he said that's what they do. They go to huddle and look at videos. It's so much easier. So I didn't have any of that. For softball, the big recruiting tool is Twitter, or X now. That's where they do a lot of, when she was getting recruited, she would post a lot of recaps of her tournaments with some videos and stuff like that, just to get yourself out there, and so that the coaches can lay eyes on some video and see you.
So, Marlee, you actually have to be marketing for yourself as well as being really good at softball.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's such a weird concept for somebody your dad's age or my age. But yeah, good on you. I mean, I guess it's not that hard. And Marlee, you're about the age of my youngest kid. You guys know more about technology than I'll ever know the rest of my life. You guys take it for granted, right? You've known nothing but the internet and cell phones.
I mean, I've never been like a big fan of Twitter. They would always mess with me because I would always be like, oh, I have to like post on Twitter again. But it was a necessary evil. So,
all right. So I actually did look at your X profile just to get a sense of what's out there. You've visited a lot of colleges. How many roughly colleges did you visit, you think?
I think like 6.
Okay.
I think that for like visits. That's not including camps. Including camps, I don't even know.
Those camps are also recruiting things, right?
Yes, they were.
Yeah. The camps are very, very important to recruiting. You've got to get them in front of the coaches. So we tried. We would always make her make a list of schools and have her rank them. and then we would try to target her top schools, and we'd have her rank it again and see if they stayed there, and we would just keep going through the process of trying to get. I think we got her to almost all of her top 10 schools for camps.
All right, so Marlee, how did you figure out your top 10? What was important to you?
The biggest thing for me is like the dynamic with like coaches and players, like that environment. Cause I mean, you're going to be spending all your time with those people. So that was really a big thing for me. Pitching coaches, especially just cause like that's who I'm going to be working with like all my time that I'm there. I mean, of course, the campus, I'm going to have to like the campus, and the players on the team, like watching them and seeing how they act like with coach is a big thing, because that's not people focus on a lot, but like watching it makes you like really understand the dynamic of the environment.
Really cool. All right, so I don't think I saw any Virginia schools on X, and I didn't spend a ton of time checking that out, but you're going to Florida State, which is, I have to tell you, Marlee, I'm not a Florida State fan. They've beaten my own father so many times. I lost track a long time ago how many losses we've endured to them in multiple sports. But Florida State is in a great part of the country. The weather's amazing year round, especially during softball season. What was it about Florida State that made you commit there?
I would say the coaches. Like I just loved so much. It was almost like a family. It's just like a family there.
Chris, are you going to be able to make every single game?
I'm going to try. I'm eligible to retire next year, so that would free up some time. But I also have I've been with the government for so long. I've got a lot of leave built up, so I've got time. I'm going to try to make as many as possible. I don't want to miss any. I'd like to say yes 100%, but I don't know if that's attainable. But I'm going to try it. You're
going to do your darndest, because you know how important it is to Marlee
absolutely
for her parents to be
absolutely there. Now, she won't tell you this, but she's been an FSU fan since she was small. As a matter of fact, when we first moved back here to Virginia from Texas, she had a 4th grade wax museum, history museum that they had. It was a project, and they had to pick somebody from Virginia that made history or somebody that they know. And so she did Lacey Waldrop. I don't know if you remember Lacey Waldrop, but she was a All-American pitcher down at Florida State. And she dressed up like her and rattled off all her stats, freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year, career stats, where she was from, all kinds of stuff. And that was pretty cool to kind of go full circle and go back and see that. As a matter of fact, when she committed, much to her displeasure, we sent that down to the coaches so they could see it.
That's like a good parent would do, Chris.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Florida State. All right, so you're a Florida State fan. It sounds like you didn't really want to admit it until recently. Has your dad ever shown you, or have you discovered on your own, the Warwick Dunn running play against UVA? Chris, what was that, mid-90s?
Yeah, I think that was when I was playing. Yeah, I would say mid-90s. She hasn't seen it.
No, yeah.
So you need to check it out, and then let your dad know whether you think he actually scored a touchdown or not. It was touchdown on the field. It was the first time UVA beat Florida State ever. May have been the last time too, actually.
Was that the one that was Halloween night?
I think it was. Yeah,
I think it was too. Yeah.
I couldn't believe we beat them. I couldn't believe it came down to that play. I mean, there are people today that argue that the ball crossed the goal line.
Yeah.
All right. So, how many pitches do you have, Marlee?
I have a fastball, drop ball, changeup, rise ball, and then right now I'm working on like an off-speed drop curve thing. So that
sounds like a knuckle slider kind of thing in baseball.
Yeah, it's a little different, but
would you be revealing secrets if you walk me through how you throw each of those pitches?
No, not really. I mean, for my drop ball, I do like my pitching coach calls it I pronate, and it's just like I don't really know. Like I can kind of show you. Like I just like do my wrists like that, like when I throw.
Okay, so it's almost like you're sweeping over.
Yeah, like that. It's they call it like a peel drop. So that's the type of drop ball I throw. And then changeup, I kind of do the same thing, but I just have my hand like over the ball. So I'll like pronate still, but my hand will be on top instead of like this. like on the bottom of it. And then my rise ball, you have to try and like get your hand under the ball and like slide under it, so you'll get that like back spin on it. And my pitching coach always says like go off the back of your hand. And then my off-speed drop curve thing, I just started throwing that, so it's kind of a work in progress.
Can you put all those pitches wherever you want?
For the most part, when I'm on, I'm pretty accurate. So that's
Yeah,
kind of been one of my things is accuracy.
So I played baseball in high school, and so I know what it's like to hit like somebody throws a good curve or a good slider or a good whatever. And I was not getting in a stance when I watched you play, but the change of pace from your changeup is crazy. I don't know how anybody would ever hit it.
Yeah, it's a big speed difference. That's kind of always been like my bread and butter pitch. So
I mean, I picked up on that like the third time you threw it, I think.
Her changeup pretty much is what put her on the map.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. That's awesome. So, did you ever consider UVA or Tech, Marlee?
I mean, I like Virginia Tech, but it's also like it's basically going to high school for me because like everybody goes there. But like, I mean, I like Tech. I never really thought about UVA, but I mean, I don't know. They never really showed me like that much interest. So I just like, I don't know. I didn't really try that.
Yeah, I don't know anything about any state schools and whether they're competitive nationally or not. But at Florida State, I'm fairly confident is very competitive nationally, right?
Tech's
Yeah,
very,
Tech is good.
And UVA is actually having a good year as well.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I think they might have cracked the top 25 this week.
All right, Marlee, this is good. That shocks me actually. Marlee, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What's the one thing that your dad has taught you or done for you that you think is amazing?
I think like how to keep my composure, because when he was my coach, when I was playing when I was younger, I had like really bad body language. He can tell you I was not the best with showing my emotions on the mound. And I feel like now I've completely flipped a switch, and now I like show pretty much no emotion on the mound. And I think that's like been a big factor of my journey.
Well, here's a fun question for you, Chris. Should any player, Marlee or somebody else, should they show no emotion, show positive emotion, or negative emotion?
I think for being a pitcher, we kind of subscribe to somebody should be, and a lot of coaches feel this way too. A coach should be able to walk up to a field and see you playing and not know whether you're up by 10 or down by 10.
Oh,
so that's something that's been big for her. And you know, to circle back on what she said, at a young age, she put a lot of pressure on herself. I remember specifically going out to the mound one day and she was tearing up, and I'm like, "What are you getting ready to cry?" type thing. And she goes, I was like, "Why are you upset?" She goes, "I feel like I'm letting you down. I feel like I'm letting the team down. I feel like I'm letting the parents down." I stopped right there and said, "Sweetheart, there's not an adult in this world that can handle that kind of pressure. You can't put that kind of pressure on yourself." And I think that over the years that she's gotten better and better about it. So to me, I think that's been probably a really, really big and helpful change for her.
yeah, being competitive in life is important and certainly important in sports. But every once in a while, we all need a reminder that it's just a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
You take it seriously and you want to do really well. I mean, you've worked really, really hard. So have you been a year-round softball player for the last how long? 2 years, 5 years? What's it been?
Probably more
Probably longer
like,
than that, yeah.
like 6 or 7, probably. I mean, once you start playing travel ball, that's like travel ball is always year round, because if you mix like travel ball with playing, especially now playing like high school ball, or some people have middle school ball, but we didn't have that. It makes it definitely a year round sport, because for travel you play in the summer and you also play in the fall.
Do you feel like softball in high school gets the same sort of support that baseball does? Not necessarily a question about Midlothian, but a question generally.
Yeah.
I don't want to get you in the hot water.
I feel like for our area, softball gets a pretty good amount of recognition because we have like a pretty strong, we have pretty strong softball teams in our area. So, I mean, yeah, I feel like baseball always gets a little more, but I think for our area specifically, softball does get like a pretty good amount of fans and supporters.
The sport itself is growing big time. I mean, there's a lot of people who are watching it more and more and more. The colleges are getting, ESPN3, the streaming stuff helps a lot of people get to see a ton more games than they used to be able to. So overall, the sport itself, I think, is gaining traction and getting bigger and bigger. I mean, they got a professional softball league out there now, and Athletes Unlimited does it as well. So I think it's growing. But she's definitely right. This area, the Central Virginia area for softball is very strong.
Who are the better teams? Give me like the top 3 or 4. And you
In
can
our
say
area, I'd say we're probably one of the top teams, and Hanover definitely. And could we count Woodgrove? They're not really in our area.
Probably
Godwin probably, yeah, is another top team in our area.
Cool. The starters on your team, can you walk through each position, each person, just say their name, because hopefully they're going to check this podcast out, and one thing you appreciate about them, and it can be on the field or off the field.
Okay, I'll start with Bella. She's my catcher, and she's always like in a good mood. She's always smiling, so that's always good to have on the field. And then Kim at third. I've played with Kim since I was in 10U. He coached her too, so I mean, she's always been a hard worker, and I think that's a good thing about her. And then shortstop, we have Charlotte Corcoran. We have 2 Charlottes, so we call her Sharko. And she's just always like so stoic, but like I really like that about her because like she's like me, like you can never really tell like if she's in a bad mood or anything. So, and then Erin's very vocal. She plays second for us. She's very vocal, and I like that about her. She kind of like keeps everybody like in check, and I like that. Then we have Erica, who's her sister. She's at first, and she's just a really strong player. She's had a few injuries, but she's always like putting in 100% effort all the time. And then in right field, we have Charlotte Daniels. She also is a pitcher. And Charlotte, she just like, she steps up in big moments. At least she really has this year. And I think she's done really well for us. And then center, we usually have Emma. She's hurt right now. But so Emma, she's a very vocal leader too. And she's a lot like Erin. She'll like keep people in check and keep everybody like calm. And then Reese is also a lot like Sharko. She like is very stoic, and she doesn't really show her emotions as much either. So we have like loud leaders and quiet leaders, which I think is good to have on the team.
You sound really balanced. Bella smiling and being positive, is that going against the whole stoic thing?
No, because like I feel like the stoic thing is just for me, like me on the mound. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like me and Bella like balance each other out really well.
All right, if you could go back and talk to the 10-year-old version of yourself, what advice would you give the 10-year-old version of you?
I would say probably to not put so much pressure on myself, because ever since I stopped putting so much pressure on myself, I feel like I've always performed so much better. Because I mean, when I was in 10U, like I was probably the second string pitcher. Like
second or third. Yeah.
I wasn't the best pitcher. I remember one girl, she came to my team from another team, and she literally told me that her team would get excited when I would come in because they knew they could hit off of me. So I think I definitely have grown as an athlete since then. So.
Yeah, the not pressure thing. I think every sport from the beginning has always meant to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Meant to be not crazy fun, but some level of fun. Yeah. And if you lose sight of that, you're kind of losing the whole point of the sport.
It's a tough balance to teach the competitive, drive to want to be successful and want to win, but also enjoy it at the same time. I mean, that's something that I think every athlete continues to struggle with probably through their entire career, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I've always been a perfectionist. So that was kind of hard for me to get over, is to realize that like it's just a game and you don't have to be perfect all the time.
Yeah, it's a very hard balance to strike, and when you find that balance, it's awesome. But it's pretty uncommon to find that balance consistently. Yeah, what are you looking forward to most? Well, you've got an entire another school year in high school, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so you committed before your junior season. That seems early to me, but I guess that's how it works these days.
I'm sorry.
Well, she's called. They just changed that. I mean that's been a couple years now that they've changed the recruiting to junior year, September 1 of your junior year. It used to not have coaches could talk. They had kids committing in the 7th grade. There was a girl that committed to the University of Florida in the 7th grade.
Yeah.
Now she didn't end up going there because I mean 7th grade's way early. So I think the NCAA finally, and I think most of the coaches were like, this has got to change. You know, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, look, I have a son and 2 daughters, and so I know what it's like as they grow up. Like, there's a difference between a senior in high school and a freshman in high school, and even a sophomore in high school. But for girls, I guess September 1st of your junior year makes sense. I assume it does.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty. I'm sorry, I'm still like having a thing. I think it's I feel like that's a good time to start because I mean, for volleyball too, they kind of started like your junior year is when you start getting recruited.
So you're having a good season this year, at least that from what I could tell, you're having a really good season. I imagine you're going to be even more dominant later this season and next season, and all of that action is after you've committed. It blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
As a parent, I like it because you know now she can kind of relax and it was funny. Me and a couple other dads that our kids were lucky enough to get committed at some of the schools they wanted to go to. We talk about it. You could see just this weight off their shoulders, like they could just relax and now she can enjoy not only her senior year but also her junior year. You know, she's still got to compete, and I keep telling her like you always have to compete, but the pressure of whether or not you're going to be picked up by a college is off, and that's a huge weight off her shoulders.
Yeah, it's definitely a relief to not have to worry about like who's watching you and having to impress people.
Yeah, because you've been going on the field impressing people for a while now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, and I guess the pressure doesn't get any easier once you go to college, right? And you're playing at that.
No, it only gets harder.
I think the thing that's going to help her is that, you know, she's been in pressure situations from a young age. I mean, she made the USA softball Region 2 All-American team from Region 2. Then was, I believe, North Carolina, Virginia, and Maryland. I think that's right. And so she went down to Oklahoma City and played in a tournament down there with the girls from those states against people from all over the country. And she ended up pitching in the actual stadium that they played the College World Series. And that was really cool. And it was a 1-0 ball game. We lost. It was an error on a throw on a bunt that scored a run. But it was for 12U softball, it was an amazing game to watch. It really was. But she's continued to do it. And kudos to her. You know, when I had a team and, you know, we were talking about what do you want to do? And she goes, Dad, I want to go try to play on a bigger team. And we're like, all right, let's go. So that was after she guest played for a team that the team actually that she's on now. She guest played out in California. That was the first time she met them, and it was at PGF Nationals. And it was pretty funny. I'll tell the story on it real quick. We're on the car ride from the hotel to the hitting facility because they were doing a little practice before. She didn't know anybody. I mean, nobody. And I look over and she literally looks like she's about to throw up. And I'm like, what? I'm like, Marlee, what's wrong? She goes, Dad, I'm really, really nervous. And I remember looking at her and laughing like, good. That's exactly what we want. You know, that's exactly when you get you out of your comfort zone. That's how you improve. That's how you become better, is to challenge yourself, you know?
Yeah, and nervousness is just heightening the senses. That's all nervousness really is.
Mm-hmm.
The body's way of saying, hey, I need to be on right now. I need to be paying attention to everything. Yeah. So being a lefty, does that give you an advantage?
For me, definitely, yeah. Being a lefty like already gives you a different spin on the ball, and like it's coming from a different side. So like especially on our travel ball team, we have 2 righties and 2 lefties, and we always like put them together. Like usually I'm with another righty and the other lefties with another righty. So it definitely gives you an advantage.
Out of every 10 pitchers that you play against, how many are left-handed? Is it pretty common or is it pretty rare?
It's not very common. I'd say you definitely see a lot more righties, but I mean, I don't really know like a stat or anything. So.
Well, I don't think it's as rare as when we were growing up. You see a left-handed pitcher, like, oh, they got a lefty.
No.
There's more lefties out there now than there used to be, in my opinion.
So, Marlee, a lot of kids that when they're playing 10U or around that age, they burn out. What is it about you that hasn't allowed you to burn out on softball?
I mean, I think that since I wasn't the best at a very young age, then that kind of helped because like I wasn't constantly the starting pitcher. And then also being on the team I'm on now, like for travel ball, not having to pitch like all game, every game really helped out with me because like it makes sure my arm is like always ready to go.
So at the high school level, you pitch and hit. Is that true at the college level too?
No, not for me. It's just it's pretty rare to see a pitcher that pitches and hits at the college level now.
There's some that do it. Yeah,
there is some. Yeah.
It's super specialized, though, is what we're saying. Do you watch baseball ever?
I do a little bit, yeah.
Okay. I was just saying, could you compare yourself to a pitcher from like the major leagues in your lifetime? But that's a weird question. You're throwing.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't really watch it.
Below your hip, and they're throwing above their shoulder. Yeah. Could your dad hit you? You think, if he tried to bat against you?
No, I don't think so.
Challenge accepted. No, she would definitely strike me out.
Look, if y'all do that, can you please video it?
Look, I sometimes I have to catch her pitching lessons, and I literally have to blink my eyes before every pitch so I can try to focus in to be able to see the ball so it doesn't kill me.
Well, how far away is the when you actually release it? How far away are you from home plate, roughly?
I've got some pretty long legs, so I'd say like 35.
36 feet.
I don't know, something like that.
And how fast is your fastball going?
Around like the low 60s around that.
Have you done the conversion for what that would be like in a baseball game?
What did we say?
I think 62 was where she's at now. I want to say, and don't quote me on this, I think it's equivalent to like a 91-mile-an-hour fastball.
When I was growing up playing baseball, I faced a guy that threw 94, and that didn't make any sense to me. And even the guys that threw in the mid 80s, that was really, really hard back in the day. 91 equivalent or 92 equivalent is just seems nuts to me.
Yeah.
So obviously being tall and having longer legs gets you closer to the plate when you actually do release. So there is an advantage to being tall in that respect. Are there other advantages to being tall as a pitcher?
I think it's also like an intimidation piece, like because I feel like facing a tall pitcher, it's like almost like they're like on top of you because like they get so close to you. So I feel like that's an attraction for college coaches because I feel like more college coaches want like taller athletes.
Yeah, I imagine there's something to the physics of how you throw the ball where having a longer arm, a left arm, actually in some way that I wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to at Florida State besides the team and the coaches?
I want to win a national championship, so that's probably what I'm most looking forward to, like competing for that in the tournament.
Have they won one in the last 10 or 15 years?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
They were the runner-up. They were the runner-up last year.
They were runner-up, you said?
Runner-up last year. They lost to Oklahoma in the championship series.
Wow. I watched some of that, but I didn't. I'm not a huge baseball guy. But I'm gonna start watching now that you and I have met, Marlee. I'm gonna be tracking you. And I have to say, Marlee, you are the first person on the Stories from the Center of the Universe podcast that is a high school athlete. You're also the first person. The youngest person I talked to before you was 20. And in the sports podcast, you're the first high school athlete we've talked to. So you're setting first across a few dimensions. It's pretty cool.
Thank you. I feel special.
Well, I mean, you should feel special. I mean, committing to a team like Florida State, that's clearly at the top of the ranks. But I have to say that Stu Brown introduced me to your dad, and then your dad certainly is the connection to you. But I would not have wanted to talk to you, frankly, unless you had achieved what you'd achieved. And so you should be very proud of all that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Cool, guys. Well, I think I told you 20 or 30 minutes, Chris, and we're at.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So we're a little past time. I appreciate you guys doing this. And if you don't mind, you can hang out for a couple seconds.
You got it.